Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar about the untapped power of your admin and support services. My name is Converset, and I am a senior consultant, lean leadership coach, and president of Productivity Inc. So welcome to this event, which is a topic I think is very important. So I'm pleased to be with you today to talk about the power of your admin and support services. And, we have only 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to be as effective as I can in talking about this topic, which at the end would require more time. So the first thing I want to address is really the notion of why admin and support services are so important and have so much power. I've been working as a consultant for 20-something years, and productivity has introduced these principles, the lean principles in the West. And obviously, for so many years, we have been working in manufacturing. But every time I've been working in a manufacturing plant, I wondered why improvement was limited to manufacturing environment. So let's go deeper into the why I think this is so important before talking about the detail of the what. I think every time you want to engage an improvement program, launch a new product, whatever, the first thing you need to do is start with the why, reflect about the why. So when we talk about improving, my personal feeling is that it's not just one thing, it's the whole thing. And let me take a small example. It's a small story, which is coming from an actual real life example. It's the example of a gentleman called Bob who likes chocolate hazelnut cookies and who is very frustrated because he cannot find the cookies on the shelves. And in talking with Bob, we came up with this question. Do you understand, Bob, what kind of processes are actually necessary to make your preferred cookies available on the supermarket shelf? And the answer is, yeah, we need to produce them. So yes, you need an efficient production system. So you need to have available and reliable equipment. You need to manage the ingredients, all the material. You need to manage your flow. You need to schedule your production. You need to have quality standards in place. You need all these things, which is really the manufacturing side, and which is extremely important, as well as an effective supply chain, which, by the way, today is not always easy to manage. So you need to have all the conditions for an effective supply chain. But if you think deeper, I think there are many other things which need to happen in order to get the cookies on the shelf, or at least to produce the cookies. There are many processes. The first thing is creating the product and its brand. It's defining a new recipe. So you need to have marketing people working in figuring out what kind of recipe would be good, what kind of good product could we make for the consumers. You need to define the recipe. You need to source your different types of chocolate and hazelnuts until you find the best recipe for the consumer. So you need to test, finalize. You need then to define the manufacturing process. You need to validate the capabilities of your suppliers to supply your hazelnuts, your chocolate, and all the rest. You need to develop the packaging, because when we talk about consumer products, you have a lot of different potential packaging, small packs, big packs, all these things make the difference. So you need to develop the technical aspect and also the design aspect. You need to validate the nutritional facts. You need to get the final specification from suppliers. And you need then to create the promotional campaigns so that you make this product known by the market. You need to set up your vendors, your retail vendors. You need to close deals with them. You need to merchandise the product. All of these things need to happen. And marketing, R&D, sales are involved, but also production engineers, because you need to set up the process. All these people are involved. And you also have other functions working hard behind the screen. You have to register orders from the shops, because maybe you make a deal with Walmart, but then each Walmart in the country sends you as a company the orders. So you need to register all these huge quantities of orders. You need to integrate small changes to order ingredients, to formulate the bill of material, to process the order. You need to accept order changes in quantity. You need to do the billing and all these things. So basically, every function is involved. There are important processes behind the screen. And you need remarketing, R&D, engineers, quality, sales, customer service, sourcing, production, supply chain, accounting, and also HR. So it's not just one thing you need to improve, it's the whole thing. You need to have a whole system, a whole value chain, which is coordinating itself, so that at the end you create a new product and you put it on the market and you deliver it and you satisfy your customer needs. So this small example is just to show that at the end of the day, you have a complexity of a system in place for all organizations. I took that example of a food product. I could take any other example. We work with companies making big engines, making pharmaceutical products. It's everywhere the same. And we have complex system. And in a complex system, you need to synchronize activities. You need to coordinate, because if something gets wrong, then the whole process gets wrong or has difficulties. So when we talk about an organization, we talk about thinking in terms of customer. We want to create customer satisfaction. We want to build a long-term customer loyalty. And in order to do that, you need to have all these synchronized activities being connected and working perfectly. And whatever environment you are in, I think we have a few people from the Cancer Institute in the Ohio State University. It's the same thing. You do not make cookies, but you put together resources to satisfy customers, external customers, or people who have a disease. So what we want is create an organization capable of building a reliable service to please customer, to generate customer loyalty. And when you want to do that, you have to consider the customer journey. And when you think customer, you have to think about the experience the customer is doing with an organization. And the customer goes through different steps of the process and interacts with the company processes. And every interaction between the process and the customer is a moment of truth. So a moment a salesperson has a contact with the customer, it's a moment of truth. The moment customer service calls the customer or responds to the customer is a moment of truth. And at each of these moments of truth, you have the opportunity to do well or to do bad. So everyone must work hard, and you need to look at the overall process. And the question here is really, imagine if you could accelerate all processes, if you could improve all processes. Maybe Bob would get his cookies quicker, or when he would like to get them. So the admin and support processes are fundamental in the capability of an organization to please the customers. And if you look at, and let me show you just a few examples of work we have been doing with different departments and different organizations. I mean, imagine if you could, in a customer service department, you could reduce the time it takes just to review the purchase order coming from your customers. I mean, you could reduce from 2 to 3 weeks to 2 days. You mean that's a huge improvement for everyone. And you imagine the manufacturing department would get the purchase order. The purchase order would be in the system much quicker. So it gives more time to everyone to be able to meet the customer deadline. Same thing, response time to customers' requests. As I said before, customers calling, and if customer service is long and it takes 2 to 5 days to respond to a customer request, it's just too much. And instead, we want to reach a target of 98% in less than 1 day. And you want also to reduce email backlog, because the more backlog you have in your email box, the more difficult, the more cluttered it's going to be. It's becoming, and the more you create more and more backlog, because the emails you received yesterday and 2 days ago are still in your email box, but then you have the other ones coming, so everything gets confused and you don't know where you are. And that leads, by the way, to phone calls from your customer, which is creating another burden, another problem in terms of efficiency. So that's an example of customer service. Let's take marketing. Marketing, I've been working, I'm still working with a big food corporation, and their packaging development lead time has been very long, and it took almost 3 months to create a new package. Sometimes it's just a simple thing, and why should it take 3 months when this can be done very quickly? So we have been able to reduce from 3 months to 2 weeks for 75% of the packaging, which are just simple changes. And that creates the possibility to do more work, to create more marketing promotional campaigns per year, to provide more qualitative content to sales. So everybody is benefiting from that. Quality department, same thing, food industry. Quality was very important for marketing. Every time there is a new development, quality must give the approval. So it's now 48 hours guaranteed SLA between marketing and quality instead of 2 weeks or more. It's 50% reduction of response time for all incoming requests from other departments, which makes the quality department look very effective and efficient today, while before it was considered as very bad. Same thing in the quality, quality teams in charge of supporting the plant. The fact that they have been able to improve their efficiency and effectiveness makes that they have been able to increase by 80% the number of short training moments with the operators, to train operators on their line on some specific quality issues. They have been able to create more quality standards in all areas, which has led to reducing customer complaints by 50%, and they became professional and helpful. We could go ahead like that with so many examples. And R&D is another very important example for me. If you are able to increase the daily output in your lab by 25%, you can increase your capability to respond to new requirements coming from customers. But you can also, you get more capacity also to propose new features, to test new solutions for customers. And R&D is so critical for innovation and product development today that, for me, there is absolutely no reason why we should not engage improvement in R&D. And same with IT. Two main missions in IT: the help desk and help desk. I mean, when you have a computer problem, you need a quick answer and a quick support. So how to do that? And Again, another example from, just quick, 2-hour SLA is guaranteed now for the simple accidents. Same thing for new software development, business projects. If you reduce your lead time by 50%, instead of, having a software developed in 1 year, you can do that in 6 months. You see the benefits for the business. And the quicker that you do things, the quicker you can solve problems. One of the key aspects of Lean, we will talk about that in a moment, is the more time you have in your system, the more everybody forgets, the more you make mistakes because you don't remember. So there is a virtual loop of short lead time, which allows to better monitor quality and remember what has been done and what should be done. So basically, it's important to improve admin and support services because you want to create the capability of the organization to respond to market requirements. That means do better, do faster, do cheaper, do safer. But the other main reason, very important reason why we should improve is also people satisfaction. This is something which I think is critical. I would even say that it's a strategic issue, it's a strategic decision to improve admin and support service processes, because you need to ensure that people are satisfied, that you create an environment in which people feel a sense of value. At the end of the day, I have had a good day. Why was it a good day? Because I've been able to do all the things I wanted to do. Instead, there are days you're very unhappy when you go back home because you feel you have not performed what you wanted to do. And if you look at this notion of failure demand, this is a true number. I've been working in a company in the UK in which we have measured on a 1-year period all the time dedicated to redoing things. Instead of working on real value demand, people worked on failure demand. They had to redo things which had been done wrong first time. Why? Because there was a mistake. We didn't exactly know what the customer wanted. Many reasons for which something has to be redone. And if you look at the number, 65% of the activities of people as an average was related to rework, to failure demand. So that is creating a lot of dissatisfaction, and we absolutely need to change that, especially in this moment of big quit, big resignation. So we want to increase everybody's satisfaction. So the why is quite clear, I think. Now let's talk about the how. Again, we have specific courses to go deeper into the how, but let me just give you a few principles. So it's important to adopt the lean mindset and key principles. I'm not going to talk about techniques and tools today. I'm just going to give you just a few key elements of what makes the difference when you want to improve admin and support services. The first concept is lean is about moving from silo thinking. In a silo, everybody thinks about its own optimization with its own KPIs. But at the end of the day, the customer doesn't get his answer, but nobody is responsible. Nobody is accountable because everybody has optimized its own way of working, not looked at the big picture, which is looking at the value stream. Lean thinking number one is all functions are connected to optimize the value stream to serve customers. The reason why we work is serving customers. So we need to build an organization which manages end-to-end processes and which build KPIs related to the performance in relation to the value stream, not own performance of optimization. I don't care. I mean, if finance department decides to move to increase payment times to the suppliers to 120 days. It could be dramatic. It would be good for the finance department, but it could be dramatic for the organization. So we need to build KPIs which are relevant for the purpose of having the value stream flow. Lean thinking number 2 is really reducing lead time. Lean is not about cutting costs. Lean is about reducing lead time. And cost reduction will be a consequence of the improvements you're going to make. But do not make a mistake of engaging lean or improvement in your admin processes by saying we want to reduce the cost. No, we want to strengthen the processes. We want to accelerate the processes for the customer. And to do that, we need to eliminate what prevents teams from continuously doing right first time and on-time delivery, which is also creating dissatisfaction. So lean thinking number 3 is learning to see waste and learning to address the causes of waste. When we talk of waste, we talk about a non-value adding activities. So I like to use this acronym TEAMWOOD, which I think is easy to remember, TEAMWOOD. But if we take the list of these waste, one of the key waste in admin is waiting. The request is waiting because we are late, because we have a huge backlog in our email box, because we don't know how to work on that, or because we have, it's a small request, but we have plenty of complex things, other things to do. So this simple thing is waiting until the others have been processed, which is a problem. We have transport. Transport is, they sent me a request they sent the request to my department, but it's not us. We have to send that back to marketing. So this thing is moved to another department. We have excessive quality, because we don't know exactly what the customer wants, so we do more. It's just we don't need to do more than what the customer is expecting. We just need to do what the customer is expecting and on time. Then you have inventory. Inventory is more classical waste. It's more having too many supplies, too much stuff. Let's say it's not the most relevant waste in improving all admin and support services, except that sometimes it's a lot of money which is wasted. Not good, but it's just not as important as the other one, I think. Then you have 2 or 3 other things. The big one is rework. I just talked about failure demands. So it's a defect, something wrong has happened, and we have to redo it. And this is a very big problem in services. Sometimes it is related to the fact that the customer has not expressed what he wanted. It's R&D, for example, are working to do something which is not well defined. And so they do something, but it does not respond to sales expectation or to customers' expectation. So the R&D has to start again from scratch. So it's a huge problem. Then we have motion, unnecessary activities. Sometimes you realize that just to make a transaction, you have to open, 3, 4, 5 different screens. And at the end of the day, you have your Excel spreadsheet. I think if Excel didn't exist, I don't know how organizations would work. So this is something which needs to be addressed. It is related to software, but it's also sometimes just a decision which need to be made on how to best create a process which is simple. And then you have overproduction, which means, instead of sending 2 documents to the customer, we send him a full set of documents, which are just waste. So lean thinking number 3 is addressing causes of waste. Lean thinking number 4 is make it visible. The difference between manufacturing and services is that in manufacturing, you see the machine, you see material, you see the product. in service you do not see. So you have to make it visible. And lean thinking number 5 is, let's make it visible, but let's do it together. Let's work together. The organization in 2022 cannot work as they worked 10 or 15 years ago. You need, in this complexity of systems, you need to build collaborative collaborative work, new systems in which people talk, people share, people make quick decisions together. So that's a critical thing. So you need to engage teams to eliminate the causes of waste. And you will see, once you start with the structured process, you start making people work together. People realize that they didn't know why they had to do something specific in the process because they never talked to the other teams. They didn't talk with the customers. So many things can change when you make people work together. There is a kind of magic of creativity, understanding each other and thinking together. How can we make that better? How can we work better? So you engage teams to eliminate the causes of waste. So all these principles work together to improve admin and service processes. So where do we start? There is not one path. There are different paths. Let's say I would always suggest to try to look at the end-to-end processes, because you enter into the loop of making people work together, making people understand the overall scope of a process. And you can start applying some very important concepts, which are understanding the notion of families and the understanding that they need to measure demand. Because if you do not know how many requests you get every day, every week, every month, how can you get organized? It's impossible. If you do not understand that you have simple, complex things to process, you don't know. You make a mix, which is creating a lot of waste. So people work together to understand that, eliminate non-value-adding activities with the interaction between the system and what the human interaction with the system. You start synchronizing your activities, creating better standards, and also define the way you're going to monitor your value stream. So you need to work in, again, cross-functionally, end-to-end processes, but at the same time, once people are better understanding what the value stream is, they can work at their own processes in their department with the same principles again. Then you need to establish a visual flow management system. If, as I said before, if you do not see, you do not improve. And as in production, as in manufacturing, you need to, once you understand your demand, you need to schedule it, make it visible, make it visual, according to frequency and volumes, including both the value added and the ancillary activities. You need to do that because you want to stop the flow of emails for people to get information, to ask for something. No, let's make it visual so we all see what we have to do, and it's going to be much easier. So you have things. I like this old system of whiteboards, but we can use new system. But again, what's important is the interaction between the persons and the visual system you create. Then you have creating standards. Again, improving is about sharing some things so simple. You would imagine that in the world of today, it would be easy to get the latest version of a document. It is not. And you still have to work at building a shared information storage system, the same way to name files, to access to files, sharing. When we talk about standard, we talk about working standards. I see some departments who have just almost just temporary people working. Internship in marketing departments, you have so many young people staying 6 months or 1 year. So if you don't have working standards, how do you expect these people to be able to do their job right first time? So you need quality standards, you need cross-functional routines between departments so that, okay, I received this request from you. Let's just review quickly so that I'm sure I understand correctly what you need. And then we can start processing your request. So you need to share roles and responsibilities. You need to share new KPIs. And again, you need to eliminate email. Email, I think for me, is really the enemy of efficiency. We obviously need to use email, but not for everything. There are many things which should be solved without email. Standards everywhere. These are a few examples in HR. Standard for employment letters, different for contracts between different sites and departments, full compliance to legislation for all contracts, which is not always the case. Create standards for backup HR teams between sites, purchasing, marketing standard for briefs to advertising agencies. Why does it take 4 days to send a brief to an agency? Why isn't it a standard? Why don't we follow the same logic? Why do we have to reinvent it every time? How do we measure the impact of promotional campaigns? All these things are standards. And then the other very important thing is measurement. You need to measure. In Lean, we talk about KPIs. If you measure, you understand. If you understand, you control. If you control, you improve. And obviously, the first thing you need to measure is the volume. How many, as I said before, how many requests did we get? And then you need to measure your performance. But when we talk about performance, I mean, there are two types of indicators, the lagging and the leading. The lagging, they tell you how good or how bad you have been last month, on the first 3 months of the year. That's good to know. That's fundamental to know. But the most important thing is to build the leading indicators, which tell you every day how good we are. Are we going to be on time or not? If we see at noon that we are going to be late today, we can still do something to change that. So leading is telling you what can be done to improve. And again, if you are good on your leading indicators, if you are green every day, at the end of the day, backlog 0, for example, which is a leading indicator, then you know that you will be good, you will get the results you want to achieve. So according to the issues you want to address, you need to build the leading indicators which tell you if, okay, we are on track or we are not on track. And this should be embedded in a daily management system, in a moment in which people, teams together, when we talk about a department, team work together, they stay 15 minutes together to review what needs to be done today, what are the main issues, and to just quickly debrief about something which happened yesterday. And I tell you, 15 minutes together certainly replaces 15 emails. And that's the way of working. And it's creating a sense of ownership, a sense of satisfaction, a sense of learning from each other. And obviously, you create a visual board with different parts of it, the flows and activities, the people side, the performance, problems, continuous improvement, with items to discuss, problems which are collected, which instead of staying in somebody's mind, they are written on the board. So the problems exist because we have talked about it. We have them on the board. Now we need to solve the problem. And this is the fifth step. It's the fifth element, which is important. It's engage teams in problem solving. Think A3. A3 thinking is a very good way to be disciplined in addressing a problem until we find solutions and we monitor the progress, excuse me. The other thing is also, and that could be very important for R&D, for marketing, it's building visual, effective project teamwork. So with the Nobeya room, it's very important. Again, you do not start processing something which is not well defined. So you better define it ahead of time with an effective visual system with all the stakeholders of this project. Again, it's working together. Working together is I think, the main element which allows to reach incredible results in performance in the admin and service processes. And it allows to reduce complexity and generate capacity and satisfaction. We really believe that well-trained people working in an environment of trust with clear direction and shared objectives, empowered to make decisions, will make the difference with the support of their leaders. So if you want to learn more, I would be happy to have you. We have a Lean Manager certification program for services at the Ohio State University. We have a service process improvement program. I would love to see you. And thank you for attending this webinar.